From Fox City Stadium in Grand Chute, Wisconsin, I'm Pat Coleman, joined by Jim Dixon as we wrap up the 2016 Division III World Series. The championship goes to Texas for the first time in Division III baseball history as Trinity defeated Keystone twice on, this is Tuesday, 14-6 and 10-7. A couple of games, first game in which it really looked for a long time like Trinity was just going to run away with both of these games, and then a second game in which Keystone came out. Trinity got some runs on the board early, but Keystone kept with them.
Keystone played a great game. As you said, the first game, Trinity scored runs. They scored runs in all but 2 innings. So they kept pounding the ball. Keystone came out with a pitcher that could have probably used another day of rest.
Yeah, unfortunately, because of the way the tournament ended up because of the rain, Felix Baez out there with 2 days of rest. Remember, he only threw 6 innings in the first meeting in the tournament, or their first game in the tournament, but he really struggled. He did go 5 complete, and he gave up 5 runs, all of them earned. And then followed by a succession of relievers, eventually at the end with mop-up duty, trying to save their big reliever, their big gun out of the bullpen, Yeson Andujar, for the second game. And I'm obviously foreshadowing something which we'll get back to in just a minute. Andujar actually was warming up when the game was still close the first time through, but Trinity, they put up the 3 spot in the 4th and then another run in the 5th to chase Baez, then 2, 3, and 4 in 6, 7, 8, and that game really got away from him.
It really did, and you got to look at Drew Butler. He was the big stick in that game. He had 6 RBIs. It seemed like every time he was coming up, he was vying for another record. He tied the doubles record that was tied earlier this week, and so Drew Butler certainly made a statement in the first game.
He did. He went 4 for 6 with, as Jim mentioned, 6 runs batted in. Trinity pounded out 14 hits en route to the 14-6 win. Troy Nelson got the win. He started, went 6 1/3 for the Tigers. He improved to 6-1. Baez takes the loss, falling to 10-3, and it was Kevin Flores picking up the save, his second save of the season. In the nightcap, Trinity defeated Keystone 10-7. That's the final score, obviously, but not really a whole lot of the story. Trinity basically treated this like a bullpen outing. In essence, I think you mentioned it when we were chatting in the press box, Jim. It was kind of like that was their throwaway game, right? Because they had a 1-0 lead and a really good pitcher they could bring back on Wednesday if they needed.
Yes, it's you. If I had Ryan Gray sitting in my back pocket, knowing that Keystone's not going to have any more pitching, I'm feeling pretty good, and I'm going to sit there and I'm going to throw the staff at him. And we saw a bit of staff today.
They did. Ian Husham got the start. He went an inning and a third. Chris Tate came on with a long relief outing. He gave up 5 runs, but he chewed up 5 innings. And then Michael Walker, making just his second relief appearance of the season, came out to throw the final 2 innings, allowed 2 hits. Tate, with the long outing, got the win to improve to 6-0. Now, on the Keystone side, James Dunning got the start. He really got knocked around. He gave up 8 hits in 2 1/3 innings, but it was Yeson Andujar, who we talked about earlier. He came out and is a guy who's really been a 1-inning guy all season. He'd made 20 appearances out of the bullpen, thrown just a little over 27 innings, and they really stretched him out. They got 6 innings out of him. He gave up 5 runs, but, in all honesty, if Dunning gave up 5 runs in 2 1/3, for Andujar to hold Trinity that close really allowed Keystone to stay in this game.
It was obvious that Andujar really had not stretched his arm. He came in and he got Trinity out, and then he had 3 innings where it was 1-2-3, 1-2-3, 1-2-3. He was in a rhythm. But he got to the 7th inning, and that's where Trinity got to him.
Yeah, Trinity put up 3 in the 7th. Keystone answered with 2 in the bottom half to again stay in the game, and Keystone added 1 more in the 8th. That cut the lead to 8-7, but Andujar just unable to finish it off. 2 more runs pushed across for the Tigers in the top half, and final score of 10-7. As another big game for Drew Butler, 3 for 5 with 3 runs scored and a run batted in. And Butler on the day, 7 for 11, hit .636 on the day, scored 4 times, drove in 7, had a 1090 slugging percentage. He really earned the most outstanding player honors, and this was a guy who was borderline all-tournament catcher coming into the afternoon.
He really did. He raised his average quite a bit over the series. He was solid behind the plate all week long. He was hitting the ball, and they were right at people. He was just missing. he still felt good. He felt like he was hitting the spots. It's just that today, the ball started to fall.
After all that, we had another 4-hour rain delay in between games. So even despite all that, we got out of here on time. We got out of here on Tuesday.
It's hard to believe that with all the rain that we've had, we've managed to sit here and end up at the end of the tournament right when we thought that we would be ending. It's truly remarkable, and you really got to credit the grounds crew for keeping the field ready. You got to really credit the staff that runs this tournament. They've done an excellent job.
Yeah, the grounds crew pulled the tarp 10 times over the course of this week, so it's a A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm doing that on air. So that would be, the last one was, I guess, tarp pool Juniata or something like that. I know Ralph suggested Greek or Roman gods. I wanted to name the tarp pools after Division III schools, so like Adrian, Bates, Cabrini, that sort of thing, and we ended up with Juniata at the end. But they did a fantastic job, and the new field, the way it's been recrowned and the drainage system has been added, it took so much rain this week and really playable the entire time. I think the key moment that I saw was on the third day. The right fielder for St. John Fisher goes and makes that great running catch right after a rain delay, and the footing was great. He had great speed, and he was able to close on a ball that I never thought he'd be able to get to.
This is an excellent facility to sit there and hold this type of tournament, and it's we'll be back next year for the same type of action.
Yeah, I think we'll be back. Will Keystone be back? Now, we're talking about a team that has a bunch of seniors, making their first really deep run into the series. They've been here one other time. This is obviously significantly further than this program has ever been.
I think you make it to the finals, and people start to notice. It's going to work with recruiting. It's going to work with trying to find the fit to sit there and make the program. And you now have an experience being at the World Series. Keystone is in a great spot because they win their conference every year. So they almost have a ticket to the playoffs every year. Unfortunately, some other schools that have that same ticket haven't been able to make it here. But Keystone starts with an excellent coaching staff and a good foundation for next year.
Now let's switch over to the Trinity side for a second, because we talked about, obviously, Keystone has a lot of seniors. Trinity has a ton of seniors.
And all that experience is going to go to the wayside. So it would be tough for Trinity to repeat. But you look a little bit up and down the lineup, you see some underclassmen. Certainly we were impressed with the work that Andrew Hoffman did. So there are some bright spots, but when you lose that many players, it's really tough to repeat.
Second best team in Division III this season. Keystone, Cortland, thoughts? I threw him a curveball. We did not go through this in the warm-up.
I think I favor Cortland over Keystone as the second best team. Cortland has been there all year long, and they were so very close. They finished second to Trinity in what was the hardest 4-team bracket you can put in, having 4 teams all ranked within the top 6 spots in the top 25. I think Cortland has earned number 2 spot, but I expect to see Keystone certainly right up there with the Red Dragons.
Trinity, however, ends the season on a 17-game win streak. They swept through the regional. They swept through here. Their last loss back on April the 9th as Trinity improves to 44-7, and they are the 2016 Division III Baseball National Champs. I'd like to thank, first of all, Jim Dixon, and then the rest of our editorial crew here in Appleton, including Ralph Turner, Austin Walther, Eric Bookinger, and Naisha, whose last name I don't know. I so apologize. Yeah, Williamson? Oh, that's easy. Why did I not know that? And then the 3 members from D3photography.com helping us out this weekend, Ryan Coleman, Larry Radloff, and Steve Frommel, who took all the pictures, at least for the first 12 of these 14 games. So thanks to them. Thanks to yeah, that's true. Good point. Thanks to Dean, our host family, I guess. Dean, whose last name I don't have either.
Dean and Judy. They are excellent people. They always make us welcome, and they always come by and say hello.
And also thank you to Bays in San Antonio, who had our day 4 recap up on the big screen at the bar, getting ready to watch Trinity finish off that doubleheader sweep and win the national championship. For me, that is the first time I think I've ever seen one of our YouTube videos up on a screen in a sports bar. So, Jim, you're famous.
Infamous, I think, is the word.
That we'll leave that as the final word of the 2016 Division III baseball season, except to keep in mind that this format of this tournament, we're stuck with it for one more year. We're not going to get some of those, crossovers in the losers bracket that would be helpful in order to try to even out the bracket imbalance that Jim was talking about. We're not going to get this committee to, go out on a ledge and reseed the 8 teams when they get here, even though that's what they should do. But in 2018, we will have super regionals. Hopefully we'll have then an opportunity for the committee to reimagine the entire tournament, including these final 8 games. And, we'd have to presume 8 teams, these final 8 team brackets. Thank you to our producer for not putting that in my ear, but just mouthing it at me. Because, we'll have a little bit more time to play with. Maybe in 2018, we'll have an actual Division III baseball selection show because, we'll have 4-team regionals instead of 6 and 8-team regionals. They could play on Friday, Saturday with Sunday as a rain date. You don't have to start on Wednesday. It means you don't have to send out a news release at 3 a.m. in the morning. You could have an honest-to-goodness production like basically every other NCAA sport has. Then you have a best-of-3 super regional in the middle, and then come back with our 8-team Division III World Series, which now would stretch into June.
We'll see how they do it. They'll need to add an extra week. And all I can say is certainly for all the production that we do, an extra week between the end of the season and the championship will be welcomed. But whether or not they end the season early and we're still on Memorial Day, or we spend another week later, I think it's going to be great for the sport to see that change in the playoff format.
I'm going to have to find another couple days of vacation time, I guess, is what we're coming down to. Keep in mind all the coverage that's been on D3Baseball.com all week. You got 14 game stories. You got about 6 or 7 features, including one more coming out of this championship game here tonight. We named our own all-tournament team. Sometimes it's not all that similar to the ones that the NCAA folks come up with, but this year fairly similar, and no surprise, Drew Butler, especially with the way he played on Tuesday, our most outstanding player. You can click through those, find him on Instagram, and all that sort of stuff as we wrap up this tournament. And then final top 25 poll will be coming out as soon as you guys all get your ballots in. That's important. That's not going to happen unless we have 25 ballots. That's a good thing to have. And of course, all the photo galleries. And this is our 5th of 5 recaps. At least there won't be a day 6 recap from the airport. I'll be happy about that. So for Jim Dixon, once again, I'm Pat Coleman signing off from Grand Chute, Wisconsin, and congratulations to the Tigers of Trinity University of San Antonio, Texas. They are your 2016 Division III baseball national champions.